Hello everyone, and welcome to A Trip of Change, an exploration into the art and science of getting things done. Today we are on the edge of what's possible. The promise of getting more done with less work is calling us forward. In a world where time is the most valuable thing we have, being able to get more done is not only desirable, it's necessary. Just for a moment, picture what it would be like to reach your full potential and feel the thrill of achieving your goals quickly and easily. Productivity isn't just a way to measure how much we get done. It also shows how well we can set priorities, stay focused, and get things done. It's about learning how to do the most important things at the most important times. Come with me as we explore tried and true methods and timeless ideas that will help us become more productive. Let's figure out how to control our time, energy, and attention in a way that gets us real results and long-term success. Today is the first step on your way to being more productive and happy. We should all be excited and determined as we start down this path because each step brings us closer to reaching our full potential. The focal point process shows you how to double your income and double your free time simultaneously. Both are desirable and achievable, not just in theory, but in practical terms if you know how. Achieving both requires a shift in how you think and do more of the right things in your work and personal life. To double your productivity, the formula is simple to explain, but requires effort and determination to implement. It boils down to increasingly performing higher value tasks and delegating, delaying, outsourcing, and eliminating lower value tasks. The starting point to doubling your productivity is to carefully think through your work before assuming your first responsibility. The primary job of a knowledge worker is to determine what needs to be done. The clearer you are about the what, the more productive you can be. When you begin to think about how and when, there are 5 questions you should regularly ask yourself if you want to perform at your best. The first question is, what am I trying to accomplish? Define the ideal goal or outcome you are striving for before you begin. If working with others, ensure everyone is very clear on the desired outcome before starting work. The second question is, how am I trying to do it? Make sure this is the best way. Ask if there could be another way. Always remain open to the possibility that you might be wrong. Think through and analyze your approach to ensure it is the best way to achieve your goal or objective. The third question is, what are my assumptions? Are you making assumptions about the market, the actions or performance of others, the underlying motives of key players, or the outcome of future events? Remember, as Alec wrote, erroneous assumptions lie at the root of most failures. The fourth question is, what if my assumptions are wrong? What if something you believe to be true turns out not to be true at all? Perhaps someone you are negotiating with is only using this negotiation with you to get a better price or deal from someone else. Always be willing to challenge your most cherished assumptions. The fifth question is, what would I do differently if my key assumptions were wrong? What would you do if this approach failed completely? What are your alternatives if you weren't doing it this way right now? Always be willing to ask the question of how else you might achieve the same result. Clarity is everything. To perform at your best and double your productivity, you must be absolutely clear on what you want to achieve. You must then identify and pursue the best way to achieve it. You must be open to new information. You must be willing to accept feedback and self-correct. You must be willing to abandon one way of working and embrace others if circumstances require it, and you must be quick on your feet. According to the Manager Institute, flexibility is the most important quality you can develop to survive and thrive in the 21st century. Flexibility requires openness, receptivity, and a willingness to try new methods and techniques continuously. Flexibility requires you to practice zero-based thinking continuously. One way to become more flexible is to set aside your ego. Separate yourself from the situation. Worry more about what is right than about who is right. Your only question should be, does it work? Whenever you experience resistance or stress in following a particular course of action, step back and question your methods. How else could we approach this? Be open to all possibilities, including abandoning the goal or project altogether. The starting point for increased productivity is clear objectives. For a goal to be effective in guiding your behavior, it must be specific and measurable. It must be credible and achievable. It must be written down and have a deadline. The clearer you are about your goals, the more you will achieve, and the faster you will achieve it. The second key to high productivity is clear written action plans. Every minute you spend planning will save you up to 10 minutes of execution. Make a list of every step of the task or your day before you start. Always work from a list. Think on paper. Working from a list keeps you on track and gives you a visual record of your achievements. Simply writing a list and constantly referring to it will increase your productivity by 25% or more the first time you start doing it. Third, prioritize your list. Think carefully about the list before starting the first task. Use the 80-20 rule. Continuously identify the 20% of activities on your list that may represent 80% of the value of your entire list. Start working on the top 20% items before doing anything else. The most important measure of the importance or value of any task is the possible consequences of doing or not doing it. An important task has significant consequences. An unimportant task has few or no consequences. Completing a critical task for your boss or an important client is an absolute priority because the consequences of not doing it can be significant. Having lunch with a colleague is a low-value activity because the consequences of doing it or not doing it are insignificant. Use the ABCDE method to prioritize your work. Place one of these letters before each task on your list. Before you start a task, A is something that is important that you should do. It is something that has significant consequences if you do or do not do it. If you have more than one task to do, organize them as a 2 out of 3, etc., in order of importance. Task B is something you should do. It has mild consequences if done or not done, but it is not as important as task A. The rule is that you never work on task B when an A task is left undone. You refuse to work on a lower priority when there is a higher priority. Waiting for a task C is something that would be nice to do, but it has no consequences. For example, reading the newspaper, having coffee with a colleague, or calling home to see what's for dinner are all C tasks. They contribute nothing to your work or success. Never work on task C if task B is left undone. A D is anything you can delegate to someone else. The rule is that you must delegate everything that anyone else can do so that you can have more time to do the few things that only you can do. Ask yourself, what can I do and only I can do that if done well will make a real difference for my company? Delegate as much as possible so you can dedicate more time to working on the one task that is the answer to this question. This is the task that can truly make a difference. An E in the ABCDE formula is something you can eliminate entirely. Whether you do it or not has no consequence. It may have been important in the past, but you can suspend it today without any real impact on your work or future. Another way to prioritize before starting is to separate the urgent from the important. An urgent task is something that seems pressing, like a phone call or emergency. An important task is something that can have serious consequences if not done. Something that is both urgent and important is a task you have on hand. This is something you must do immediately. Your job may depend on it. The consequences of not completing an urgent and important task can be severe. This type of task always involves external demands and other people's expectations. This urgent and important work is where most people spend the majority of their time. The second type of activity consists of tasks that are important but not urgent. These are tasks you can postpone, at least temporarily. These are also tasks that can have the greatest potential consequences, positive or negative, in the long term. For example, writing a key report, pursuing a course of study, spending time with your children as they grow up, and even exercising to stay fit. They are important but not urgent tasks. You can postpone them for later, and often do, but they can have significant positive or negative consequences in your life in the long run. Now, these tasks and activities can give you a huge advantage and allow you to multiply your efforts and endeavors. The more time you spend on tasks that are important but not urgent, the more effective and productive you will be in the long run. The third type of task is urgent but not important. These can be phone calls, coworkers wanting to talk to you, incoming mail, etc. These tasks seem immediate and pressing, but in terms of consequences, they are not important at all. Most people spend a tremendous amount of time doing things that are urgent but not important while appearing busy. They often deceive themselves into thinking they are actually doing something valuable, though this is rarely true. The fourth type of task includes activities that are neither important nor urgent. These tasks are largely a waste of time, especially when they distract you from more productive activities. Many people spend half of their time on things that are neither important nor urgent. They make the mistake of thinking they are doing something of value just because they are at work when doing them. An important key to high productivity is to focus on completing all urgent and important work first, and then concentrate on activities that are important but not urgent. Meanwhile, you will need to delay, defer, delegate, and dismiss all other tasks. You must discipline yourself to stop doing those things that are urgent but not important, and those that are neither urgent nor important. And as we come to the end of our study of the art of efficiency, let us think about the ideas we've learned. At its core, productivity isn't just about getting more things done. It's also about making sure our efforts are focused on the things that matter most to us and getting results that matter. We can be more successful and happy in every part of our lives if we learn how to handle our time, concentrate, and work efficiently. Remember, my friends, that being productive is a process of always getting better. It's about making habits that help us reach our goals, getting rid of things that get in the way of our progress, and having a mindset that is always striving for excellence. As you leave today, I want you to remember to put what you've learned to use, because over time, even small steps toward greater efficiency add up to big wins. May you use the power of work to make your life meaningful, important, and satisfying. Thanks for coming along with me on this trip. May your days be filled with a clear sense of purpose, the best use of resources, and the happiness of seeing the benefits of your hard work.
And